This one is called Tom Thumb. Pretty scary, huh? Well, there was once a poor woodman who would sit in his cottage each night by the fireside, while his wife sat by his side spinning. "How dull it is," he said as he poked the fire, "for you and me to sit here quietly by ourselves without any kids to play around and amuse us." "How happy I should be if I had just one kid," says the wife, sighing, and she turned to her spindle. "Even if it were ever so small, if it were no bigger than my thumb, I should love it dearly." Now, strange as you might think, a little while later this good woman's wish came true. She had a little boy who was quite healthy and strong, but he was not much bigger than a thumb. So they named him Tom Thumb. Though they gave him plenty of food, he never grew bigger.
So how small was he?
The size of a thumb. How big is your thumb? That big. Well, his eyes were sharp and sparkling, and he soon showed himself to be a clever little fellow.
He's as big as my thumb.
Yeah. One day, as the woodman was getting ready to go to the wood, he says, "I wish I had someone to bring the cart to me. Oh, to meet me," he says. "I'll take care of that," cried Tom. His father laughed and said, "How can you do that? You can't even reach the horse's bridle." "Oh, just you see," says Tom. So when time came, Tom's mother harnessed the horse to the cart and put Tom into the horse's ear. And as he sat there, the boy told the horse how to go, crying out, "Yep," and "Stop." And as he wanted, the horse went on just as well as if the woodman had been driving it himself into the wood. It happened that the horse was going a bit too fast, though, and Tom was calling out, "Gently now, gently," when two strangers appeared. "Well, what an odd thing that one is," says the one. "There's a cart going along, and I hear a driver talking to the horse, but I can't see nobody." "Well, that is strange indeed," says the other. "Let's go see where it goes." So the strangers followed the cart into the wood. Then Tom Thumb, seeing his dad, cries out, "See, father, here I am with the cart." Now the woodman took hold of the horse and lifted his thumb out of the horse's ear and put him down upon the straw. The two strangers were watching all this time and didn't know what to say for wonder. Well, at last, one whispered, "That little urchin, he'll make us a fortune if we can get him. We can carry him about from town to town and just show him about. Ooh, we must buy him." So they went up to the woodman and asked what he would take for his son. "Oh," he says, "I won't sell him. He's the apple of my eye, and dearer to me than all the silver and the gold in the world." Says, "That's my kid. You can't buy my kid, you silly gooses."
Yeah, because how are you supposed to buy a kid anyway?
"I don't know, but those people thought that they could, huh?" Well, Tom, hearing the bargain they wanted to make him, crept up to his father's shoulder and whispered, "Take the money, Dad, and let him have me. I'll soon come back. Don't worry." So the woodman said he would sell Tom to the strangers for the largest piece of gold they could find, and they paid him. "Where'd you like to sit?" said one of them to Tom. "Oh, put me on the brim of your hat so I could see the country and go along." Oh, the strangers journeyed on till dusk, and then Tom said, "Now let me down, please. I am tired." The man took off his hat and put Tom down on the clod of earth in the plowed field by the side of the road. But then Tom, he just ran off amongst the furrows. He slipped into an old mouse hole. "Good night," says Tom. "I'm off."
Well, because he's small as a dog.
Yeah. He says, "I'm off, and mind and look sharp after me the next time."
Because they can't even go in there. They're too big.
See, there's him on the hat right there. Isn't that silly? Well, the two men, they ran after Tom at once and poked the ends of the sticks into the mouse holes, but it was all in vain. Tom only crawled further on and further in. And at last he came to quite dark, so they had to go their way without Tom, as sulky as could be. Now, when Tom saw they were gone, he came out of the hiding place. At last, by good luck, he found a large, empty snail shell. Yeah, this is turbo lucky, he says. I can get some sleep in here. So into the shell he crept. Now, just as he was falling asleep, he heard the two men passing by. One says to the other, "Now, how can we rob that rich person's house?" "Oh, I'll tell you," cried Tom. "Oh, what was that?" says the thief, quite frightened. They stood listening. Tom says, "Take me with you, and I'll show you how to get the parson's money." "But whereabouts are they yelled. "Look about on the ground," says Tom. At least the thieves found him and lifted him up in the hands. "You little urchin," they says. "What can you do for us?" "Well, I can get between the bars and the windows of the parson's house and throw you out whatever you want." "Ooh, that's a good idea," says the thieves. "Come on."
Well, he is small.
Yeah.
I guess he was born that way.
Yeah. Well, when they came into the parson's house, Tom slipped through the window bars into the room and then called out as loud as he could, "We have all that's there." Oh, at this, frightened thieves. They said, "Softly now, softly, speak softly. You don't want to wake anybody." Oh, but Tom seemed as if he didn't understand him and shouted out again, "Shall I throw it all out?" Now the parson's cook lay in bed in the next room, and hearing a noise, she sat up and listened. Meanwhile, the thieves were scared, and they just ran off. But at least they plucked up the courage and said, "That little urchin is only trying to make fools of us." So they came back and whispered softly to Tom, saying, "Throw us out some of the gold, some of the silver, Tom." Tom cried out as loud as he could, "Here it comes!" Well, the cook heard it quite clearly. Yeah. So she sprang out of bed and ran to the door. Ooh, where'd it go? There it is. Ah! The thieves ran off as if a wolf was on their tails. And the cook, having found nothing, went away to find the lantern. By the time she came back, Tom had slipped off into the barn, and when she had searched every hole and corner and found nothing and nobody, she went back to bed, thinking she must have been dreaming the whole thing. Isn't that silly?
Yeah.
So Tom crawled about in the hayloft, and at last he found a snug little place to finish his night's rest, and he laid himself down, meaning to sleep until daylight and then find his way home. But alas, the cook got up early to feed the cows, going straight to the hayloft. She carried away a large bundle of hay with Tom right in the middle of it, still sleeping. Yeah.
I guess he really snoozed.
Yeah. He still, however, slept on and did not wake until he found himself in the mouth of the cow. "Good lackaday," says he. He was forced to keep all of his wits about him so they might not get into the cow's teeth and be crushed. At last he went down into her stomach. "Oh, it's rather dark," he says. He did not like it at all, and the worst of all, more and more hay kept coming down. The space left for him became smaller and smaller and smaller. And at last he cried out loudly as he could, "Don't bring me any more hay!" The cook happened to be milking the cow just then, and hearing somebody speak, she was so frightened that she fell right off from her stool. Then she ran to the house as fast as she could. Sir, the cow's talking." The parson says, "Cows don't talk." However, he went with her to try to see what was the matter. Now, scarcely had he set foot in the cowshed when Tom shouted, "Don't bring me any more hay!" Now the parson himself was alarmed, thinking the cow was bewitched, ordered his herdsman to kill her on the spot. So the cow was killed and cut up in her stomach, which lay Tom, was thrown open into a dunghill. Tom soon set himself to work to get out, which was not a very easy task. At last, just as he poked his head out, more bad luck befell him. A hungry wolf sprang up and swallowed the whole stomach, with Tom in it, all in one gulp. Tom, however, he wasn't disheartened. Thinking the wolf would not mind having somebody to chat with him, was going along, called out, my good friend, I could show you a famous treat. Ooh, where's that? Says the wolf. Ooh, in the woodman's house, says Tom, describing his old father's house. You can crawl through the drain into the kitchen, and there you'll find cakes and ham and beef and cakes. Oh, and cold chicken and roast pig and apple dumplings and everything that you want. The wolf did not need to be told twice. That very night he ran to the house Tom had described and crawled through the drain into the kitchen, where he ate and drank to his heart's content. Once he had eaten, he had filled what he wanted to leave, but he had eaten so much he couldn't even crawl out through the narrow drain. And this is just what Tom reckoned on. Now he began to set up a great shout, making all kinds of noise he could. Now will you be quiet, says the wolf. You'll waken everybody in the house if you make such a clatter. What's that to me, says Tom, and he began singing and shouting as loudly as he could. Now the woodman and his wife awakened to the noise and peeped through the crack in the door, and they saw the wolf was there, and they were very scared. Now the woodsman ran for his axe and gave his wife a scythe. But Tom heard all this commotion and cried out, Father, Mother, I'm here! The wolf has swallowed me! His father says, Heavens be praised! And then he aimed the bow and struck the wolf right in the head with his axe. Oh, he aimed a great blow. Struck the head of the wolf. Now when he was dead, they cut him open and set Tom free. Ah, says his father, what fears we have had for you. Oh, father, says Tom, I've traveled all over the world, I think, in one way or another since we parted. Now I'm very glad to be home. Why, where have you been, says his mum. Oh, I've been in a mouse hole, and a snail shell, and down in a cow's throat, and in a wolf's belly, and yet here I am again, safe and sound. Yeah, well, says Tom's parents, you have come back, and we will not sell you again for all the riches in the world. So Master Tom Thumb stayed at home peacefully with his mum and dad, for though he had been a great traveler and had done and seen many fine things, he was fond enough of telling the whole story of his ventures. He had always agreed that, after all, there is no place like home. And that is the end of that. Yay!
Then somebody